Welcome back to the Red Stool, and today we're talking about My Hero Academia, Chapter 305, Izuku Midoriya and Tomura Shigaraki. So, we begin the chapter exactly where we left off last week, and that's just with Nana, and she's saying to Deku, she's asking him, do you have the resolve to kill Shigaraki? Like, can you kill him the next time you see him? And everyone's everyone's looking at him patiently waiting for his answer, because we find out today that they all can, even though they can't clearly hear him because he doesn't have a complete mouth inside of All For One yet, just because he hasn't mastered the quirk. So while he's inside the quirk, he doesn't have full function of his body, but they do have an emotional sync. So they can feel how they remember how he felt that day when Shigaraki was inside their quirk, and he looked at him and he said, hey, it looked like he needed saving. And, they begin responding. They're like, we get what you're saying. He may look like he needed saving, but at the same time, you can see, if you look him in his eyes, you can see all that hate that he has and that built up anger and aggression that's inside of him. It didn't go anywhere. That's what he is at his core, and you can't really save a person like that. He's looking to destroy you and everything that Hero Society stands for and everyone in it. How are you going to save someone like that? So that's, and all that is brought to, Deku's attention. And then you have the first user of One For All chime in, and he says, hey, it's not all of Shigaraki's fault, though. It's the way my brother raised him. So essentially, he's being used as All For One's pawn just to get to One For All so he can obtain his goal of getting his little brother back. And so, that's an interesting dynamic, because it puts the Shigaraki All For One relationship in a new light, because I suspected that there was some sort of manipulation going on, and that All For One wasn't just ready to be out of the spotlight as far as being the demon lord and running the criminal underworld. So it would make sense that he would use Shigaraki as a tool to, one, hurt All Might, but I guess it goes deeper, because the user before that, Nana, it's her grandson, and finding out that, they're all in this shared collective. And so, he's able to attack both of them. So it hits a little bit deeper, because as we go on to find out, All For One isn't able to just steal One For All. Besides the fact of their collective strength added up, it's also their collected emotions and wills all fused into one. And he's just one person, so he's unable to overpower the will of the quirk. Even if he's able to overpower the user, he can't overpower their quirk, I guess, to use it. And maybe that just shows us somewhat of how One For All works, to where as though if he wants to steal your quirk, he has to be able to overpower it and take it from you, even though he's going to take a part of you when he takes it. But if you're strong enough, if that part of you that's inside of your quirk is able to resist him, then he can't take it. So that just gives us more light onto why over all these years, even though he's been able to beat all the One For All users, it's not enough for him to be able to steal the quirk. He has to be strong enough to steal the quirk. And that's where Shigaraki as the pawn comes in again, just because of his hatred is so strong that he can contend with the intense emotions inside One For All. So he can just kind of use that as a way to overpower them and then take the quirk off of Shigaraki's hatred. But, since that plan kind of failed, I'm pretty sure now he's not going to come with the same thing. He's probably going to move on to something else. So we just got to keep an eye out for that in the future, what All For One's new plan is going to be. But getting back to the chapter, Deku, he hears all of what they're saying to him and how they just, hey, it can't be helped. Shigaraki has to be killed. And, he's actually able, he's actually able to form the rest of his mouth and begin to talk freely. And he tells them that, listen, All Might showed me that this quirk is meant for saving people. Like, I don't want to kill anybody. And of course, we know his character and, his heart as a person. That's not, he's not going to be able to kill anyone. And now he's probably just going to burden himself more with, you know what, I'm going to save Shigaraki. I'm not going to kill him. I just need to be strong enough to save him. And if I'm the strongest, person, hero person or whatever on the planet, then that'll be no problem. That's going to be the type of hero that I'm going to be. In spite of whatever, I'm just going to be able to save him. Even if he does hate me and I can't reason with him or anything like that, I'm still going to be able to stop him and save him from everything that All For One wanted him to be. Because he says, when he was inside of the quirk, he didn't see all the hatred and everything in his eyes. What he saw was a scared kid. And, his immediate instinct is to comfort and to save him. Because when you look at Shigaraki as a character, mentally he is kind of stuck in that, child, that hatred that he had of his family as a kid, and he was never able to move on past that and have any type of growth or maturity as a person. And you see that reflected in his goals, how he just wants wantless destruction. He just wants to destroy Hero Society, everyone in it. He hates every hero because of everything that happened to him as he was a kid. Hero Society failed him, and he's never forgiven them of those failings. And then All For One comes along, and he's able to take those emotions and twist them and point them towards his ultimate goal of stealing his little brother's quirk. So you kind of see just how he hasn't really been able to live his life or have much of one that wasn't manipulated by All For One. So, of course, Deku, knowing all of this, he's not going to be, I have no choice. I have to kill Shigaraki. I don't want to. Of course, he's like, no, this is the person I need to save because Hero Society already failed him once. And now he's befallen victim to a villain. He's being manipulated. This isn't what he wants to do, but, he's being manipulated. So I have to save him. His life is just important as anyone else's. So, with that, it brings a tear to All Might's face just because of, the type of hero that he's inspired Deku to be and how he's chosen a great successor for his quirk. And I guess, this right here could put everything to bed with whether or not Deku was the right choice to inherit his quirk. So, I don't want to say I saw it coming, but I just knew, knowing who Deku is as a character, that he wouldn't, killing Shigaraki would have never been an option for him. Lastly, we have the other users that are inside of One For All. The only two who aren't sitting down and they're facing the corner. So just wondering, who these two could be. I feel like maybe, how, all of the different users, they have their own story and they had their own goals as heroes and whatnot, and they all help support the quirk. But I feel like these two mystery users that came right after All For One's younger brother, I feel that's where a lot of the anger comes from, because we know they share this like kind of shared intelligence and also emotional like connection. And when Deku was fighting Shigaraki and he saw All For One's face, he kind of snapped into a rage and he rushed straight at him, even though, their whole, everything that they had been doing leading up to that point had been in keeping Shigaraki from being able to touch him. So in that moment, he kind of just fed into his rage and he snapped and he acted accordingly with his quirk. Because, they say, your quirk will respond, how you emotionally respond to something, your quirk will respond that way as well. So I feel like that's where a lot of the anger and whatnot comes from inside of One For All. So I feel, we're definitely going to get their backstories probably coming in the next chapters. And, we'll definitely be able to see if, that theory is true or not. Also, I feel like All For One, he's gonna abandon the Shigaraki plan. I'm not sure exactly what's gonna happen between them. He may end up wanting to steal Shigaraki's body just because of how old his body is, and just how much damage he's taken. But what I feel like his new plan might be, now that, because we know this is the third time that he's attempted to steal the quirk and it never worked. So you gotta think that, he's not just gonna keep doing the same thing over and over again. He's shown himself to be very intelligent. So he could very well just steal Overhaul's quirk, and now the next time, if he's able to enter One for All again, he could use Overhaul to drastically change how the quirk works. That could definitely be a possibility. And if he's able to do that, he could kill some of the users' lingerances, like the lingerances of their quirks and personalities inside of it. Because when I imagine him stealing One for All, I know that, he doesn't want the company of all the other heroes that he's beaten and everybody else who's taken up his little brother's quirk. He just wants, I guess, to be reunited with his little brother. So it would make sense for him to be able, if he took Overhaul and was able to just destroy all the other users inside the quirk and just keep his little brother's essence and personality inside of it and steal that. I feel like that would probably be much more desirable to him, rather than using Shigaraki's hatred to just overpower the quirk. Even though, he could use Shigaraki's decay to destroy some of the users as well. But, we've seen how much pushback Shigaraki has given him when it comes to using his body and manipulating him and using him to gain his goals. He doesn't want to be anything like All for One. He wants to do things his way. And stealing his little brother's quirk it's not anywhere on his list of things that he needs to achieve. So from all that, it would just make more sense for him to get Overhaul's quirk and try to steal his little brother's quirk that way. At least to me. But, as always, if you guys have any theories or, what are your thoughts of the chapter, you definitely got to drop a like, come back, talk to me in the comments so, we can figure this all out together, because, there's a lot to think about, and it opens up the door for a lot of conversation. Hope you guys enjoyed the chapter review. I'm going to see y'all next week. Peace.